Hello, everyone. Welcome to another night of the Astrological Duets. And tonight, Roy Gillett, probably all of you know him, and myself, Teri Noodleman, will be talking about the astrology, but in terms of love and relationships and any kind of relationship, not limiting ourselves to the romantic relationships. And before that, as I mentioned before the recording, if you for some reason you don't want your face or your name to be seen, you can turn your cameras off or you can change your screen name so that because there won't be any editing afterwards. So we don't want that you feel uncomfortable about any kind of recording in that sense. And also we would like to thank all of you for your support with your donations and everything. As you know, Astrological Association is a charity, so we are all here volunteers, and we don't have any financial gain, but the most important gain is, I think, here is that we are all together, all astrology enthusiasts, and we are sharing the same language and talking the same language, which is astrology. So we would like to thank all of you for your continuous support. I mean, even it's not important the monetary donation. If you can just spread the word about any kind of events that Astrological Association is holding, that's already much appreciated by all of us here. And as I said, events, I would like to, before we start to talk, I would like to give some information about the upcoming events, which I would also put the links in the chat box, so that if you would like to go to those events, anything related with that, you can just click on the link and that will take you to the events. So the events that are coming up are, first of all, there would be next Astrological Duets, which would be on the 21st of November at again 7 p.m. UK time, keeping in mind that UK is now in GMT, not BST anymore. It would be with Wendy Stacy and Victor Oliver. Wendy and Victor will be talking about the hour of doom. Pluto is finally in Aquarius, as on the 19th of November, Pluto will be going into the sign of Aquarius for the last and the third time until for a very long time. So they will be talking about that. And the next upcoming event would be also the call for speakers for AA conference 2025. As some of you know, there would be the 57th conference of the Astrological Association in 2025 with the title Myth and Modernity, the Robin Hood Legacy in Aquarian Time. And for that, there is a call for the conference speakers application, which would be due by 5 p.m. UK time on 27th of November 2024. And the last event that I would like to talk about which also Roy will give a brief information before he starts the talk, is the Kepler Day, which will be held on the 26th of January 2025. And these are all the let's say the announcements that we would like to make about the upcoming events. Now I will pass the word to Roy. He will first tell us about the Kepler Day, and after that he will start to talk. And in the meantime, I will be copying all these links to the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roy.
Thank you very much, Teri. So yes, if you look at the chat box in a minute, Teri will put up the link to, if you want to speak at the conference, and everybody, if you don't want to speak but you want to be there, then make a note of the date of the conference, which I think is August next year, but she's going to put up the exact dates. So by the 27th of November, you need to apply if you want to speak. But if you want to put a note in your diary about when it is, it's August next year, and I think the exact dates are there. They're certainly in when is the dates?
29, 31. I'm just putting them on the chat box as well.
Yeah, and it may be a little bit before that as well. There may be some extra things happening, but this is just for your diary so that you can not organize anything else that time. Yeah, Kepler Day is on the 26th of January. A lot of you will know about this. It's something that the AA has been organising since the 1980s, and it is alongside Correlation, which is our journal of astrological research, one of the perhaps the most important time when astrology researchers get together. And with the 20th century developing, with the modern technology that you can do with computers and astrology, the calculations you can do, the time spans you can study, alongside the developments in general computer technology, particularly with AI, we have seven, and actually nine now, expert astrologers who've done great articles in Correlation, who will be meeting ahead of the conference to prepare and work ideas together. But then at the conference, we'll be offering to converse and talk to you about their research and give greater knowledge. And we just, in addition to the ones you may have seen promoted already, the new speakers come on, a lady called Alexandra Esiba Polish, who is the Argentinian, but a very good English speaker, who is the research director for ISAR. And interestingly enough, she's going to be speaking about statistical studies of romantic relationships. She's a wonderful person. I've spent a little bit of time with her on the phone in the last week. She's going to be a great addition to this very special day when we hope to establish a new way of working with astrological research, so it reflects more the way that astrologers actually do their job, the way we put things together, the many things together that we do. And up to now, it's only been possible to check whether Mars in a sign and position, or Venus or Jupiter. But now it's a question of when these three things together are in particular places and how we synthesize it. This is the kind of research of the 21st century. And this is the kind of research we want to encourage as many of you as possible to come along and help us plan and work out for the future. So 26th of January 26th of January next year in London, at the University of Wales Trinity St David's Sophia Centre's new campus in Canary Wharf, the City of London. It's Docklands, really, off the edge of the City of London. This is a wonderful venue and a wonderful body of people. So do come along and join us. And you can do it online as well, because it'll be hybrid. Sorry to gossip on. I've taken a little bit of time about relationships, and now let's deal with why you've all come to listen today. And I want to talk a bit about signs, and Teri's going to talk about planets, and then we're going to have some examples, and I hope there'll be time for you to talk a bit. So I'm not going to say too much, but I think it's very important to make this key point that astrology is incredibly beneficial, because it's not that one relationship is better than another. All relationships can be good or bad for you. It can be a good experience or a bad experience. Certainly, some relationships are more difficult than others. And one of the things that really is in my heart about loving astrology is that it enables you to have far more beneficial relationships with far more people, but it helps you to understand how other people are, and therefore to treat them and admire them and celebrate them in a way that's appropriate to their energy, and for them to do the same. So you can opens all so many doors of understanding. And one way to understand this is to consider the zodiac. And what I want to do just a little bit now is talk a little bit about the pairs, different ways that signs relate to each other. So first of all, how they oppose each other. And if you think about it, we got this transposition. So like the sign on the opposite side of the zodiac tends to offer you everything you don't have, and vice versa. So there is this reciprocation of relationships between oppositions, just like between the first house and the seventh house, between Aries and Libra. So Aries is a sign that makes you rush into things with great enthusiasm, but not probably be able to sustain things as much as possible. Libra is a sign that stabilizes and balances and makes you nervous about being edgy, about instability, and feeling that you can't hold harmony if you don't keep the scales in balance all the time. And so by reconciling Aries and Libra, you create a kind of safety. Two signs like that working together is a kind of safety where people can go for it and people can risk, and yet we'll support each other as we do it. But of course, if you try to make the Aries tries to make the Libra like them and vice versa, this is where you get the breakdown in relationships. Now, the same principle applies to all the pairs that I'm going to quickly touch on, even more quickly than I've just done. If you think about Taurus and Scorpio, Taurus is about possession. It's about possession because I love it so much. I want to be a good business person because I want to get the business successful. I want this object of great beauty to it. I want the attachment, emotionally feeling good about something. And Scorpio is about being able to get almost intuitively. It's the emotional, it's the water side of Mars. So it's Mars and Venus working together. And there's a kind of fear energy in Scorpio, and there's a possessiveness in Taurus. And what Scorpio does, it does many things. What it does to Taurus is it enables the Taurus to feel secure by introducing the idea that you can get it as quickly as you want it, with Mars applying itself sensitively to the situation. And similarly with Scorpio is doing that because it wants a lot and it sees that what Taurus has got. Again, the reconciliation of the opposite. With Gemini, it's ideas against actions, but the action is about direction and understanding and idealism. The problem with Gemini is you can have many great ideas, but where are you going? Will you get anywhere? Where will it lead? There's always another idea that distracts you. With Sagittarius, it's the archer pointing the direction. It's still mutable, but I want to go there. And you get this kind of, well, is that an intelligent way to go? So you get the philosophical discussion between the immediate idea and the aspiration. And so the relationship there is like that. And then with Capricorn and Cancer, this is one of the most exciting pairs of relationships because Cancer is so protective, like a mother. And Cancer is so protective like a mother. Capricorn, the father, the really ordered, sensible, reliable energy, and yet hard on the outside but soft on the inside is Capricorn. Sorry, hard on the soft. Get it the right way around. Soft on the outside, hard on the inside is Capricorn. I'll be gentle with you, but I insist that you do things correctly in my ordered, limited way. Whereas Cancer is hard on the outside, but soft on the inside. The two together support each other. One of the strongest relationships I know is a couple of strong Cancer Capricorns. With Aquarius Leo, it's very much about the Leo, of course, is the kingdom, the ruler, the most generous, beneficent sort of energy, great fun and wonderful, and yet so full of its own area, its own kingdom, if you like, that it may not see everything. Whereas with Aquarius, the Aquarius is very much about the responsibility, this arrogant view, the negative Aquarius, the arrogant view that you know everything. But certainly the positive energy that you know much more than other people take account of. So you can see how the Leo in a way needs the Aquarian advisor. The Aquarian is yearning to be recognized, but knowing it can't be because it wants to give the truth to everyone. And finally, Pisces, Virgo. Virgo looking for the perfect thing. Pisces looking for the perfect experience. And finding some thing to express your feelings with against the Virgo, having the sensitivity not to worry, to feel it's all right not to have things, to live in a state of uncertainty, which Pisces can do through its sensitivity and its universality. So there's the oppositions. Now, the four squares, or the three squares, cardinal, fixed, mutable. The cardinal square, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. There's this feeling of being able to start things, being able to sensitively care for them, being able to stabilize and being able to be successful. These are the energies. That square is the strong, productive square. The fixed square is structures, school of Taurus, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and but the other one, Scorpio, and that is what fixes the feelings. And just a final word on this before I stop and let it go on is this danger of being too attached to the sign that is the same element of yourself. If there's too much fire in the relationships, there's too much. How do you know anything else? You can self-confirm yourself all the time. The same is the problem with people who have relationships with people whose energy is too similar to their own. They tend to get lost in isolation. So to have a challenge in relationships is really important. So this is not everything of all the planets can be joined together in these variety of ways, then you see how complex relationships can be, and yet how wonderful astrology can be in helping you come to terms with everybody and everything. I hope I haven't talked too much, but I just wanted to lay that. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything before Teri talks about the planets or not. Anybody want to say anything about particular sign relationships they've noticed, or anything I've said they don't agree with? Or
Someone is asking about what about mutable signs from Diana?
what do you mean from Diana? What?
Yeah, what about mutable signs? Because you mentioned the cardinal and the fixed signs. What about the
Thank
mutable
you,
signs?
thank you. Yeah, I was very conscious that I was just talking at you. I was thinking that I don't want to be dominating this meeting too much. Yeah, mutable signs are the if you like, the raw materials of possibility. So we have the mutable ideas. So any idea, I've got an idea. That's a good idea. Let's think about it. And then you've got mutable Earth with Virgo. You know, this is not just an idea, but it's also a thing that you can make out of this idea. The big struggle, if you like, between Gemini and Virgo. This is amazing, this one. You always want to look at this one. If you see a Virgo, Gemini relationship, Gemini's constantly thinking of new ideas, but not bothering to do anything about them, really, except to enjoy the idea. Virgo says, no, but look about this. You haven't thought of that. You haven't thought of that. This is where the strain is. And then, of course, you get the Sagittarius energy, which is all very well pointing in the right direction, but you can keep on pointing in any direction if you don't have it together. And so there's many places you can go, and there's many things you can believe in, because it's a spiritual energy as well as an action energy. And then, of course, Pisces, it's all the experience you can imagine. It's always like, at its worst, the kind of crucifixion of suffering. At its best, an ability to feel and know and understand, make everybody feel you understand them. So all these four things together are the very stuff and the foundation that the cardinal energy starts stirring up, and the fixed energy starts structuring. And this is how it all works. Okay.
So thank you. Someone, Jasmina, is saying that she also noticed that Sagittarius and Aquarius get along, and Gemini and Virgo, many examples that she knows. Sagittarius and Aquarius.
Gemini and what? Sorry.
And Virgo.
Virgo, yeah, it's a wonderful relationship as long as you don't get too irritated and distracted by, the problem with Virgo is they feel so responsible for everything. They've got this sense of duty, and they want to get it right, and they want to get it right for the very best of reasons. And yes, sure, if an intelligent new idea comes along that incorporates what they're trying to aspire, it can be a wonderfully fruitful relationships. But if it's constantly distracting, it can be very irritating.
So anyone would like to ask or make any other comments?
Yeah, please come in
what...
if you want to say something,
Yeah, it can be also your ideas. I mean, like you would like to share any experience of yours, or like your ideas about the signs, how they interact with each other, etc. Please, you can always join, because otherwise, probably what I will do, I will pass to the planets, and then we can again discuss.
Yeah, you go ahead with the planets then, Teri, and tell us a bit about that, because this is where the signs express themselves, of course.
So, and Caroline is saying that very perceptive. So thank you very much, Caroline. And someone is asking, Michelle Benjamin, what about next door signs?
What signs?
Next door,
Oh, yeah. Well,
neighboring, probably.
okay. Yeah, we can do the sextiles, semi-sextiles, and sextiles, and of course quincunxes. Quincunxes are the strain aspects. You know, when you think about a Leo and an Aquarius opposition, what about the person who's got the Virgo Aquarius? How would that work out? Or the other side, the Cancer Aquarius? You know, it's so easy. It's a wonderful thing with astrology. You know the archetypal meaning. Can you see that relationship? How would Aquarius get on with the Cancer? Well, it's a very maternal. It's like the struggle to have a maternal attitude to the whole universal understanding, universal responsibility, bringing it out of the home into the home that is the universe. You know, that's Aquarius Cancer. That's the idealism of it. It could also be a bit unnerving. I mean, you know, I wanted to really just get you started thinking about the relationship between the signs. And there you go. I've got another one there. The sign next to each other. This can be a bit awkward because, you know, okay, Aquarius is next to Capricorn. I have a lot of problems with Capricorns and being an Aquarius because I'm constantly trying to question what they are certain is right. And and also Aquarius to Pisces. This is a big problem with Aquarius and Pisces. Aquarians tend to think they know everything, and if they don't, they can talk their way out of it and ask questions. And Pisceans know that there are certain things you can't talk about and you can't ask questions about. You can only experience. And if there's not honesty in the feeling that you have, it doesn't matter how much you say, it's no good. I don't feel right. Now, this is there's just a few examples, but you go around the zodiac. We haven't got time. We can, but if you want to, but you know, just go around the zodiac and look at your experience. Watch people in their relationships. If you just do sun signs, but you can do it in planets as well, you can see why it is that people's relationships are like that, and what is the best way to handle it in that case. Okay, Terry, I can't hear you. Are you speaking?
Okay, I'm speaking. Yeah, okay. These are, I think, all the questions that came, and there are people that, of course, asking. Let me see. Okay. Someone is Caroline is asking, how important are moon signs?
Well, you go on. That's your side.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, then I will start. I mean, with the planets. Of course, we can start with the more personal planets, the luminaries and the Mars, Venus, and also Mercury, looking at that. And I was all the time thinking like when we are thinking about the luminaries, they are the lights at the end of the day. And then when we think about it, it's like sun is like our outer light. It's how we shine, what we give out. And then when we think about moon, it's more like it's a inner light, and it's like what is inside us and everything about it. And when we of course, it's important that which sign, what aspect it makes. But when we think about, we also probably get into relationships like where someone can make that light brighter, or there can be relationships that make that light much dimmer. No, it depends on the type of that the relationship. So it's in that sense, I mean, sun is like how we shine our ego, and also how our ego needs are met in a way. So we can think about it as well, I mean, when we think about the sun. And when we think about the moon, I think it's about our sense of security, it's about needs, and also it's about our comfort. Like, for example, also in a daily life, where we feel comfortable, how we feel comfortable, and the people, how do they, I mean, like the people that we are in relationship, or the not only the personal relationships, also it can be between entities, etc. How the people make each other much comfortable, they give each other that sense of security when they get into that relationship. And I think when we think about Mars and Venus, it's always, I think, more like intimacy is also involved when we think about it. But also, I think when the Venus is also appreciation. I mean, like how we are appreciated, and it's the values. I mean, like how we are valued, or what kind of value that we give to other side. I think that's really important in that sense. It's not only about love, also trying to get that balance, that harmony, and everything together that comes with that. And Mars is like, it can be initiating things. It can be about how we say that I want this, I wanted this happen in this way. It's like the way that we act upon stuff. It's the, in a way, modus operandi, it's like our MO about the relationships it could be. And I also was thinking, like, because there is this warrior fighter spirit with Mars, maybe sometimes how we fight for a relationship, or how we fight against a relationship. I mean, you can all, of course, share your ideas, but I think it's the type of thing that could come through the Mars when we think about the relationships in astrology. And Mercury is the language. No, we have to communicate in a way. How do we communicate? How do we express our ideas? How do we articulate things? And in that sense, I think Mercury is really important. And these are, of course, it's a quick going through the planets, but of course, it's not only limited to inner planets. We can think about the Jupiter, like what's our meaning, what is our journey, and how we can grow each other when we come together. No, what kind of addition we make so that we can expand more in life. And also when we come to Saturn, it's like longevity. No, it's the commitment also is there when we think about the Saturn. And I think also there is one thing about the sun and moon is the midpoint. I think we can think about the midpoint because it's like the conscious, subconscious that's all coming together. It's like how we feel complete, how we feel as one, how we feel in this unity. It's like the kind of a divine meeting, like that. It goes like this sacred marriage in a way. So I think these are the things that come to my mind when I think about the planets in a very quick sense. What do you say, Roy?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if obviously there's then the whole question of this is what the planets mean, but how do they interrelate in a synastry situation? Because this is what we
Yeah,
get to a situation. Now, I don't know, this is what everybody does this, but am I allowed to share? Have you got me sharing? Can you enable
I
my
can, I
sharing,
can,
please?
I can let you share right away.
This is what everybody does when they're stuck. Wait for it.
Yes, you may share.
This chart. Taylor Swift seems to be the answer to everybody's prayers at the moment. Either if you want to be elected president of the United States, or if you want to do a bit of an example on on an astrology night. Now, I mean, I'd invite you all to have a look at this. Actually, this is Taylor Swift's chart on the inside, and Travis.
Did you share? Could you share it because I
Oh,
allowed you?
I didn't. I said I was going to share it. I only put it there. Wait a minute. Wait for it. I got you all excited, and I haven't shown you what I wanted to. Here we go. Share.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It
coming
is
just
coming
now up.
across now. Where the chart's
Yeah,
coming.
I
Yeah.
see
Thank
the
you very
Zoom. Yeah,
much. Here we go. Now, as you can see, this is Travis Nice. I just close that down a minute. Just move things in so I can see what I'm doing. This is her big, stonking American football playing boyfriend and her chart. And have a look at some of the relationship points here that Terry was talking about. And it's if we're looking at the suns. Somebody said Aquarius Sagittarius got on very well in the chat box, I noticed. But if you can see here, we've got a Sagittarius Libra relationship working very harmoniously between the suns. And the Mars is not quite so relevant, but we'll come to something else in a minute. And the moons are pretty well, and they're not quite opposed, they're in conjunct. So that there is this kind of sensitivity there about feelings. But what I found most remarkable is here is when you do the synastry between the Venus and the Mars and the moon and the sun. And what got me interested in Taylor Smith was two things. One was my father-in-law doing a big show at the playing out a Taylor Swift thing, which they did at their care home. But the other thing more recently was when she was doing a concert in Japan and suddenly flew to the Super Bowl, was it, to see her boyfriend's team win the Super Bowl, or was it the one before the Super Bowl? But she flew across the world to see him. And look at this, you've got Venus in Scorpio to Mars in Scorpio. This is a conjunction. This is a complete conjunction. And the moon is applying to the sun in Sagittarius. And that's in her first house. So you can see that very strong sort of attraction that they have for each other. Their Jupiters, well, that's partly because they were born the same year, of course, they're bound to have that in common. But so really, you can only look at the inner planets on this relationship. Yeah, so I don't know, but that seemed to be particularly significant. Anybody want to make any comments on that? Nope.
With his Saturn over her Mercury, I wonder if in some ways he is limiting her freedom of speech or the structured way she speaks.
Yeah, I haven't actually observed them doing anything more than being an image that's photographed, but you've heard them talking, have you? Yeah?
No, I haven't. I'm just interpreting the chart.
Yeah, okay, good, yeah. Yeah, I noticed that Saturn Mercury energy there. It's in the second house, isn't it? You wonder how the relationship will go. It's that it all seemed to be about that first house energy there, you know, that incredible attraction they have to go to great lengths to achieve things. And of course, her very powerful Capricorn energy is such. This is where you get, why is she so rich? Why does she have so much money? And look, you've got Uranus, Mercury, Neptune, Saturn, Venus, all in the second house, and and all in Capricorn, except for that Venus there in early Aquarius. Of course, the outer planets will be in the same place, so they share a mission with that kind of attachment. And her moon is not that strongly placed to his moon, but his moon is very strongly placed to her sun. Yeah. I don't really. Any other comments?
I just wonder, Roy, do you use this idea of the cosmic marriage, which is when the lights and maybe or the ascendant are in the same sign? I see they're not really close there, but you know they are in the same sign of Sagittarius, the sun and the moon, and you were talking about that really strong attraction.
Yeah, I thought that's all there. I mean, the thing is that, of course, his midheaven is up there in Virgo with the Mercury there, and which makes him very notable and famous. Where's his ascendant? That's gone. Where I can't. Trouble. Yeah, where is that gone to? Oh, here. No. Their ascendants are very close, aren't they? I hadn't noticed that because there's two ascendants there. Yeah, his is just in Sagittarius. You're right, that does make a kind of sense of identity, because like they're born the same year. There's only two and a little bit months between their birth time. And so they got all these outer planets, even from Saturn outwards, Jupiter outwards, all in the same sign. Their nodes are not that far apart. So the only thing that separates them is their inner planets. And there's these strong connections with the inner planets. And as you say, the orientation of the chart almost coincides. So you're right, there is this kind of sense of, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Are they too caught up in their own world and not aware of the other world, because there is so much in their charts that's very similar? I don't know if anybody's had experience of relationships with people who are very similar to them. I have on a couple of occasions when I was very much younger, and it was a wonderful experience, except it cut us off completely from the rest of the world. Any other points anybody wants to make about this?
I think Caroline has a question because she was raising her hand.
Yeah, go on, Caroline.
Yeah. Caroline?
You want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yeah, it's ages old now. I wanted to make some observations.
Yeah, go on.
Although the moon and the sun are at 15 degrees and 21, they are, being the lights, extremely important, and you can give them quite wide orbs.
Yeah.
Now, I have noticed that when you have, well, preferably it would be the sun of the man covering the moon of the woman. If you talk about covering in the sense of the horse covering the mare,
Mm.
they are very, very strong and very, very long-lasting male-female relationships, which usually lead to babies.
But here we got the moon of the man
Here
covering
we've
the other
got
way
the
around, isn't
moon.
it?
Yeah. And in addition to that, we've got the Venus of the man covering the Mars of the woman. So it
Yeah.
looks very much as if he's playing more the wife's side and she's playing more the husband's
But look at
side
them. Look at
in
them.
traditional terms.
Yeah, I understand. But look at them. You know, he's a
I think
very
is
big, 6'6", stonky American football player, and she's quite a fragile. She's obviously very strong and determined, all that Capricorn energy. But you know,
it's
visually
not
it's the
busy
opposite.
when it comes to relationships, it's
Mm.
psychology. And she, of course, is globally famous, internationally famous and extremely powerful.
Yeah.
You know, she's managing to make governments do all sorts of things in different countries. But I just think it's very interesting that you've got the male here in a heterosexual relationship with the Venus and the moon, and
Mm.
the female here with the Mars and the Sun. But I also think this is going to be a very long-lasting relationship, because even although it's the moon covering the sun, so to speak,
Mm.
I think it's still the same
Mm.
sort of idea.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I wonder if we could look at another one actually, as it's rather
Someone,
time.
Roy,
Go
I
on.
don't know.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Go
if you
on.
had it ready, but someone had asked if you had it ready, that if you could swap the charts, like, because we saw, I think,
Okay, all right.
charts,
Okay, I'll put it up again. Just bear with me. I put it up the other way around, but I could have swapped them just by clicking. I'm sorry, I
Okay,
took it away too
okay,
quickly. So
okay.
Teri twice. Okay, so we go. I'm setting them up on another screen and then bringing them across. That's why nothing's
In the
happening for a
meantime,
moment.
Patricia, if you would like to ask your question, you were raising your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Go ahead.
Terry. Yes, the question, it's not so much a question, but in esoteric astrology, if you think of the sun representing spirit and the moon representing the soul, when you get a sun-moon interaction, you've got the soul of one person interacting very strongly with the spirit of another person. And that is leading to a very deep level for the basis of the relationship.
Yes, this is what I was indicating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in the soul spirit way, but yes, definitely.
Oh, have I got it the wrong way around? Wait a minute. Let's just try this swap. There we are. Now we. Oh no, the other way around.
No, it was the other one.
That's
Yeah,
it.
this
Yeah.
is the right one.
So Travis is now in the inner chart, and she is in the outer. And there you go. I mean, so her moon is in his 7th house, which is another way of looking at it, of course. And you still got the similar thing. The Venus and Mars go in the 12th house, of course, in that respect. So that would suggest that, and for him, this is where someone says a lasting relationship. This is a very powerful relationship with that Venus being hit by the Mars in his 12th house. No, actually, we've got to be careful here because we don't have a time of birth. So we can't really use houses, I'm afraid. And that's why I did it that way round, the other way round, because that 12 o'clock is just the middle of the day job. We don't know what time he was born at all. So you can't use houses. You can only use planetary connections. As far as looking at the effect of her on him, we can see how they affect her planets, but not his planets, but not his houses. Okay.
I think, though, even if you had a time of birth, the problem is with them being born so very close together in chronological time, I think you said something like a couple of months, then many things will be pretty close to conjunct or could be considered conjunct.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so they become really effectively meaningless. Like somebody mentioned the Chiron on Chiron. Well, that's inevitable,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, so I think I said earlier that from Jupiter outwards, or even the node outwards, you really, yes, they're the same generation, the same year, the same quarter of the year. Yeah, so there's a lot in between them. Can I show you another one? Would you like to see another couple who are not quite?
There are some questions, Roy,
I'll
if you
take
would
it.
like to take.
Well, on this
First,
particular chart?
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. I will ask Christopher will talk first, please. Yeah, you may
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
one of the things I find interesting is in Taylor Swift's chart, she has that Mercury, Neptune, Saturn conjunction. And that's interesting to me because in some ways, Neptune and Saturn may be pointing in opposite directions, with Neptune dissolving structure, Saturn creating structure.
Mm-hmm.
In her life, though, I think that works out pretty well as sort of Neptune providing the vision for her music, Saturn providing the discipline for her to get it done. But what's interesting too is that in Travis's chart, his Saturn and Neptune are conjunct Taylor Swift's Mercury. So I suspect that one of the things she gets out of the relationship is that he may help her find that balance between Saturn and Neptune and the things and the visions that she is trying to manifest.
That's a very good point, and it shows how even though they are so close and all these outer planets are pretty similar to each other, that Mercury position is very important. You make a good point there, certainly.
Yeah,
Okay.
Diana, you may go. That she had a question as well. I think after that, Patricia will go ahead. I think. Yes, please.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah, I was looking at the Chiron conjunction because I used to think that when people are born close together, yeah, you can't really read too much into conjunctions of anything. But I have come across charts where you still get conjunctions, even though there are years of gap between people. So if it's supposed to be showing up, maybe it is saying something quite significant. And I think with Chiron, because you're looking at healing, these people understand something quite deep, because Taylor Swift's music is a lot about that, isn't it? It's a lot about, coping with life, really. So I would take those things into account.
Okay. I'm now going to suddenly switch because I wanted to get this in. I hope you don't mind. But this is a bi-wheel between two rather different people.
Great relationship.
I thought you might like to see it. We don't need to get into a big political thing or anything like that, but I just thought there's a number of interesting things here. One is that
Why not? Why not?
Kamala Harris has got her Jupiter on Trump's midheaven, which must be very irritating for him. But their Marses are very similar, you notice. I don't know what else, if you want to have a look at this, if there's anything there that particularly, I mean, that's partly why I want to show you that Jupiter on the midheaven, but it's not really a pure relationship thing. Their moons are fiery, both fiery moons. His moon is her moon is in Sagittarius, coming on to Capricorn. His moon is in her moon is in Aries, his moon is in Sagittarius, and that's why I think he says that she's not very clever, because he's more mature moon in his head.
I think some people, some people are not able to see the chart. Some is saying the charts are gone, not on screen, though I see it. Is it possible that are we talking about any other chart, Cecilia?
No, I'm moving it around now. Can you see it? You can't see it?
I think maybe that one person cannot see it. I mean,
it's only one person.
I think Cecilia is saying that she cannot see it. Is it right?
Okay, I'm going to move it away. What can you see Zoom now? Can you see the word Zoom? Yeah.
Okay, there's only one person unfortunately cannot see, and the rest of the people can see it. We are sorry about it. I mean, I think most of the people are
bear with me. Well, those who can see, any comments, because I just wanted to put it up. I've got one other chart to show you as well, which is about institutions rather than people, but which I know Terry wanted to talk about. getting fairly tight on time.
The
So
moon was conjunct the eclipse almost.
yeah. Well, I expected Camilla to come up in January. I did a workshop with a couple of other people and said, look out for Camilla. And I thought it would be about a month or so earlier than it actually happened. And so this is the competition I expected. I didn't think it was going to be this close. We shall see whether the last week makes a big change or not. But
It also means the eclipse affects the sun. How would you interpret that, please?
say that again. The eclipse and
It
the
affects Donald Trump's sun. How would you interpret that, please?
let's have a look at it. Usually you expect something little to happen that has a growing effect over the time ahead. You see, I thought I thought Trump's popularity was going to fade, and it might, that was a possibility. I thought that was a possibility. In fact, it's going the opposite way. And this next week is going to be very interesting because with an eclipse on his sun, you would expect it to be a kind of nemesis point, particularly as he's got Mars, of course, and his ascendant very close to Regulus. And Regulus is notorious for bringing people up to a high state and then bringing them down to reality. Now, I mean, if he loses narrowly or wins, then this would not be a Regulus moment. It wouldn't be like what happened to Margaret Thatcher, who also had strong Regulus connections. But and with an eclipse as well, you wouldn't expect him to be so close to winning. But we don't know until next week whether that works out that way. The other interesting thing about it, as I said in my article in the journal last time, or this current one, I think it is. And it was the one before I did with the September journal. The aspects come to a climax the day before, or just the morning of polling day, and then the aspects are separating for about 3 or 4 days afterwards. And when you see aspects reflecting the mood of people and the whole attitude, it's almost like something's going to happen, and it's almost nobody will know what to say about it. I don't know. I just, as an astrologer, I am looking forward to this election as a great learning experience, because I want to see what happens when you get aspects coming together like that at important moments in history. But of course, this is getting a little bit beyond the synastry between the two of them. Obviously, we talked about their moons, their Venuses. Their Venuses are Gemini, Virgo. There you go. That's what we were talking about earlier. That's where you get the squabble. He says she's not very clever. He's cleverer than she is. No, the other way around. Yeah, no, he says she's not very clever from the Gemini point of view, and she's the Virgo. He feels strained for her. So that's the Venus squares. The Marses are close to each other. They're both in the same sign, which doesn't show the kind of struggle these two people are going through, both pushing their ego like mad and trying to get it heard, and her attacking his ego with her Mars coming at him from behind in a kind of secret way.
They have 2 sun-moon oppositions.
Yes, they both were born on a full moon.
No, I mean, oh yes, but yes. Oh yes, sorry, yes, I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, her Libra Aries, and him, of course, Sagittarius Gemini. I mean, I'm just living with this. Sometimes when you look at a chart, you look at it first of all, you don't get anything, and then it starts growing on you and gets into your consciousness. And I'm just feeling this. 2 full moons, Aries, Libra, Gemini, Sag, 2 fire air full moons. Isn't it so much like it? 2 Marses in Leo. Isn't it so much like it? Jupiter on his midheaven, with his Leo energy so strong, how could he bear to have this woman getting in his way? This is so expressive. The astrology expresses the situation you see in the public arena so clearly. Teri, I'm doing all the talking. You got any ideas you want to say on this or anything else?
No, there are also lots of questions. I think I will give the word to Diana and after that to Christopher, because I think Amanda, you are,
Well, let's
you
hear what
would
they've
like
got
to
to
say
say.
something else? Yeah, you're okay. Okay,
It's,
perfect. Thank you.
thank you. It's just a quick comment about those Marses, you know, in Leo. I'm just seeing a huge cat fight going on there. And it's
Yeah.
like a load of mud flinging, you know, and
Mm.
Trump does his thing, but Kamala is, I can't say her name properly, Kamala is coming from
Kamala.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
she's coming from behind. She's like, oh yeah, I get this game. I know how to fight, you know.
Yeah.
I think it could be painful. I'm
Yeah.
seeing these claws, you know, it's like it's my territory, it's my kingdom. No, it's mine.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. And yeah, Christopher, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, if I were just looking at these two charts, didn't know the people who they were the charts of, I might think, wow, these two people might get married because they both have Leo rising, their suns are trine one another, their moons are trining one another. But of course, they're not going to get married. In the context, I think this means that in general, they understand one another. They may not like one another, but they understand
Mm.
the
The
other person.
Gemini, there's that Gemini square that gets the argument.
Right. It's the Sun and Gemini squaring the Venus. That causes friction, but also with her Saturn on his descendant. Right now, I think she's the thorn in his side.
Mm-mm. Mm. Mm. Yeah, very much so. It's fascinating. And I have one other chart, which when we were discussing this, Teri said that she thought we shouldn't just talk about the personal planets in relationships, but the Jupiter and Saturn particularly. Didn't mention it, Teri, didn't you, in your thing? Now, this I don't think this is going to do the job for us, but I did want to show you one more bi-wheel, which is about a bi-wheel, which is not a very pleasant bi-wheel, but it is. Let me just get it up here. Boom, boom, boom. It seemed to be very topical at the time, and it's got a rather interesting connotation. So bear with me. I've just got to. Where's it gone to? Oh, here we are. Oh yeah, I've got to scroll. I've got it. No. Sorry, I haven't got it yet. Oh, go on. What are you doing? There we go. And I found when I looked at this, I thought, well, I wonder what the relationship is between Israel and America. And I don't, I couldn't believe it when I looked at it. I mean, we know that Israel has a very strong, proud chart. This is the Israel chart in the center. This very strong Leo, Taurus in the seventh, intransigent determination. We will survive whatever happens. We're not going to lose our country again. That is very clear in the 1948 chart. But look at how the American Sibley chart fits into it with all that Cancer energy in the ninth house of Israel. We are your mother. We are your international mother. You are protector. Do you see how that maternal energy expresses itself? And then the Mars with the Uranus and the Uranus with the Mercury and the Saturn in the Neptune. I mean, there's so much. Almost like irrevocably connected. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about this, but
And their Venuses are like on top of each other. I mean,
yeah,
like it's
they
like
both
they
low.
are conjunct. So also the Jupiter is like, yeah, like I will help you all this tribe to expand and then the grow and everything, like, you know, I'm with you in your journey. Some kind of feeling like that. No, all the Jupiter Venus conjunction being on the Venus of Israel, I mean
Yeah,
US.
sure.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The
really
Venus is very strong.
impressive. Yeah.
The Marses are sextiled pretty well. There's a sort of sextile with the Marses. I mean, of course, this is 1948. Those of you who know the real history of how Israel was created after World War II, will know that it was Truman, the President of the United States, particularly pushing the United Nations to agree to the establishment of Israel. And you can see this love energy. And understandably, after what had happened in World War II, I don't think many countries in the world really didn't want to feel that the Jewish people deserved a homeland at that time. Of course, what's happened since is another question to discuss. But this is why you get these two Venuses so close together. But you know, I just felt it was so remarkable. If you're looking at synastry in relationships, here are two nations that seem to be interlocked in an almost irrevocable way. Like the whole world, in a way, is of one mind, except for Israel and people who tend to work with, sorry, except for the Americans about the situation, you know, the United Nations votes and all that sort of stuff. And you can see why there is this closeness and this defensiveness.
What do you feel about the 8th house, Roy?
What, in what way what do I feel about it? What do you mean?
Oh, just I'm looking at the Mars Uranus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I said earlier that Mars, the American Mars, is on the Uranus of essentially Gemini. So this is the communication. The Americans are constantly trying to get the Israelis to do things that they won't do, because they got that Leo, that's Taurus energy, you know, and it's only Gemini pushing the Uranus, and they'll talk about it, but they won't actually do it, because the fixed energy in you know, the only actual way that any America would have any influence on Israel is to stop supplying them with the resources they need to continue with what they're doing, and that, of course, they're unlikely to do with all that 9th house energy. So that's the Mars. It's not doing the job. The Uranus, of course, is on the Mercury as well. So there is this attempt to pressurize them. It may well be that after the election, the story will change somewhat, and a lot depends on who gets elected. Even if Kamala's elected, then I think it's very likely that the Democratic presidential attitude to Israel will be much stronger, because you know, it will be certain what's happening next. If Trump gets elected, you know, he was very friendly toward Israel when he was president. He moved the embassy, didn't he? So I don't think there's going to be a big support for Palestine or anything like that, or change of policy. It'd be more, I think, compromising maybe, but I don't know. I would like to see how Trump thinks he can sort this one out. The only thing is that as the changeover happens, the situation on the ground in Middle East, particularly in Gaza, is likely to deteriorate so much that the big argument will be whether the people who are in the tents waiting to, the Israeli people who are in the tents waiting to move into Gaza once the Palestinians and Hamas have been finally defeated, whether they do actually start moving in, and then the argument moves on into where does the Palestinians who are left go, and it might be about that. Trump would be in, he might have to deal with that sort of situation rather than the kind of brutality that's going on at the moment. But I don't know. It's a very interesting situation.
So Christopher and Caroline has some questions. If I may get the, please, Christopher.
Yeah. I wanted to share just a quick observation. I notice you're using the Sibley chart for America, which probably most astrologers use. Yeah. I see more mundane astrologers using a July 2nd, 1776 chart for America these days. I think they both work, but historically, the difference between the two is on July 2nd, the Continental Congress passed the Declaration of Independence. So that was actually passed on July 2nd, became public knowledge on July 4th. Yeah. That's when they told George Washington, printed it up, distributed it. And as a result, I tend to see, I have a theory that July 4th charts like the Sibley chart represent more America's persona, and the July 2nd chart maybe represents a little bit more how we are on the inside. And the main difference between the two charts, of course, is the position of the moon. And on the Sibley chart with the moon in Aquarius, if I think of that as I'm an American, if I think of that as our persona, that's how we like to see ourselves and present ourselves to the world. We're the champions of democracy and humanitarianism, leaders in technology, and we give lots and lots of money to charity. But if we look at the July 2nd chart and its moon in Capricorn, that represents another side of us.
It's just close to Pluto, is it? It's right on Pluto, is it? That other side?
It's right on Pluto. And also on the July 2nd chart, you have Libra rising, like Israel. But with that moon in Capricorn, that's, I see that reflected in our tendencies to often try and control other countries, coerce them to do what we want to do, and internally with the way we've treated women, African Americans, Native Americans. So just that thought on.
That's a very good, very helpful observation. Thank you very much. I think that's brilliant, actually, and it's a good point. Of course, I choose the Sibley because it's fitted so well with the 9/11 situation. But you're absolutely right that the moving that moon back to close to Pluto, it really does reflect the more dark side of the American tendency.
Yeah, and I think both charts work. The creation of America is not just a single event, but a series of crucial moments.
Yeah. Thank you, Christopher. Right, now we've gone over the top, but I mean, and I'm sorry I've dominated it a bit. I don't know if I should. I'm going to stop sharing at the moment. I just wondered if anybody has other things they wanted to bring out and raise.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in on that. Two things. A Capricorn moon mother is not something you would really enjoy having. There are 4 or 5 different charts for America, which means we're going to have a succession of Pluto returns. So some people seem to think that America has had its Pluto return go exact and that's it. And it's far from the case. There's going to be a succession of Pluto returns, and not everyone seems to be aware of that. But the main reason I put my hand up was because I wanted to ask our American colleagues if they'd like to comment on your interpretation of the charts about America's 9th house mothering Israel, because I feel the American colleagues would have some insights into what they felt about your interpretation that would be pertinent.
Well, it's only an offering. I'm very interested to see other ideas. Anybody?
Yeah, but I'd like to see what they say about it.
Yeah, so would I. Anybody want to say anything?
As an American astrologer, your interpretation makes sense to me. And we certainly mother Israel a lot for various reasons. And there's a lot of things astrologically which connect us to both the July 2nd and July 4th chart. And you just mentioned about the America and our Pluto return. Let me point out right now we're just approaching the second of 3 Chiron returns for all of the July 1776 charts. The first one happened shortly after that April 8th solar eclipse, where Sun, Moon, and Chiron were all exactly conjunct at 19 degrees Aries, 24 minutes. And I think the world has gone through a lot of wounding as a result of that. But for America, the last time we had a Chiron return, it was in the early 70s, and we went through a lot of political wounding with Watergate and Richard Nixon. And now with this subsequent Chiron return, we're going through a lot of political wounding with the January 6th insurrection and Donald Trump.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, agree. We have gone past our time, but
we are coming
at the same time. I'm always very generous. I mean, the last one they said, "Oh, we've got to stop at 10 on the time," but I don't want to. If there's anybody who's burning and thinks there's something we have to do before we stop, particularly in view of the fact that we messed you around last Thursday, please go on. But Terry, what do you think? Do you want to stop it there, or is there anybody else who wants to come up? Or?
I mean, someone is asking Neela Winkelmann, and she's asking, but the US 9th house moon would be there for any other partner too, not only for Israel, right? She's asking that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the ninth house moon. What do you mean? The Israel was in the center. That was the central chart. The moon was the USA's moon. Yeah, anybody else's moon would be the same. Yeah. Did somebody who
But
grazed that one?
it would not necessarily probably get into the ninth chart of, I mean, ninth house of any other thing, because it will change according to the other charts. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was
Israel.
talking about how America is fitting. It was the outer wheel was America on the Israeli chart, you know, the chart orientation. So yes, anybody else who fits in similar place will have a similar relationship to Israel, although it's very strong because there's such a strong Cancer stellium in the Sibley chart, and with the moon as well. So to put that focus of America, I mean, it's a lesson to me. I only realized this yesterday when I looked at this. So it's a new experience for me. Having studied all this stuff for years, it's a new experience. We're constantly getting them, aren't we?
I'd just
Right.
like to say something as
You go
well,
on.
relevant to
Caroline.
the ongoing Pluto returns of America, the USA, I should say. And that is, we've got a Mars-Pluto opposition at the moment, which is bang on the election. But it's also a Mars-Pluto opposition, which repeats January the 3rd, and then a couple of months later, I forget the final date. And that suggests to me a lot of strife and a lot of ongoing strife and serious heavy-duty conflict, not just in the Iran-Israeli situation, which is blown up in conjunction with it, but also in connection with whatever the outcome of the election is. There's going to be a lot of grief.
And whatever's happening in our country. And I mean, what one tends to forget, particularly watching English news, I have a number of news channels, and funny enough, Al Jazeera is very worth watching if it's not just talking about Gaza, because they tend to cover conflicts in other parts of the world much more than our news does. And if you see what's going on in Africa, in South America, in parts of Asia, what's happening in Myanmar, for example, is horrible. You know, there's horrible things happening everywhere. We get the world's going through this incredible period of sort of selfishness and vindictiveness. And I don't know, as Pluto moves into Aquarius on the 18th of November and is then established there for 20 years, you know, and then we got this transition. So you'll see this in my articles if you watch Working with the Planets, you know, the Saturn and Neptune edging its way across into that cusp. I mean, the cycle of the zodiac can be seen as an initiation from Aries through to Pisces, as Pisces is the suffering of all that you've gone through in that previous cycle, and then you're reborn in Aries. And like in tarot, the fall is both the beginning and end of the major arcana. So we've got this situation where the world is going through intense suffering, intense cause of suffering, intense reaction to suffering, and blame of everyone who's caused the suffering. And then as we move into next year and into the following year, 25 to 26, a complete new beginning. And I mean, I'm watching the news is so frustrating because nothing's happening, but it's about to happen. It's about to happen. And this next year or so is going to be this incredible transition. We could fast forward 2 years and look back on what's happened. You just won't believe the change. And I just, you know, in a way, as an astrologer and as a mundane astrologer, I just can't wait to see it. But as a person who cares for the planet, I'm quite worried. I'm sorry, I don't want to be negative to end it, but it is a very challenging time, and we have to try not to be hurtful and harming in our way of talking, and try to bring peace and make peace and encourage people to make peace, and to encourage people to realize that the suffering of my closest associates and the suffering of my enemies is still suffering, and we've got to try and stop suffering all round. Then we might start healing, and that's what the Saturn Neptune in Aries could be about, if we're wise. Sorry, you suddenly got me going eloquent, but I wanted to say that.
I think there are two more. I think we can get Christopher's comment and Diana's, and then I think after that,
Yeah,
if
we've
it's
given you an
okay, we
extra
can
half
wrap
hour.
it
I
up.
promise you half an hour.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. An important dynamic in that Mars-Pluto opposition, I believe, is that the first one occurs with Pluto in Capricorn, but the next two will occur with Pluto in Aquarius.
Mhm.
So where the power is, that will have shifted in the interim. And I really like the comments you said about how we need to do things to end the suffering. That's a reminder to me. I always say that astrology is just a weather report, and it's only half the equation. The other half is our free will and what we decide to do. And we can always choose a path which leads to kindness and an end of suffering, regardless of what the stars are, forcing upon us.
Yeah, the person who's carrying the stretcher in the middle of a brutal war is suffering the same astrology as the person who's putting the touchstone to touch flame to the cannon that's causing the destruction. It's the same energy, different use of the energy.
Right.
Was somebody else? Diana, was it? You said, Terry, somebody else wanted to speak?
Yeah, it's Diana, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for talking about Mars, Pluto, and all of those themes. And I'm very aware, because I have a friend who's in Florida, that they've had the most horrendous weather that's just wiped out whole towns, and the Pluto stuff that I'm seeing, it's not just the destruction, it's the dread, the fear. And somehow I'm thinking that part of our mission or opportunity with Mars is to still give people hope. I mean, that might sound like a Jupiter thing, but actually it's like, look, we know that's happening for you, but there's still people out here, still people that can kind of drag them out of the Pluto place. It's like being stuck in a very, very dark place. Some of these people are locked in anyway for various reasons. They're scared since COVID. They can't go out. There's a lot going on that we don't really see, and we can't control the weather, but we can keep in touch with people.
Yeah.
Throw them a lifeline.
I think that will be that. If anyone has, like last minute comments or anything to share with us. Yeah, it's like today is, in any case, in moon is I think in Libra. We didn't look at the chart of the moment, so I think we, at the end of the day, we still need to, that harmony and peace energy, and then hoping that everything would be okay at the end of the day. So if someone said yes, Libra.
Okay, actually, Terry, just for a moment, I just picked up from the chat box that somebody says that I'm talking about articles, or what am I talking about? I would have thought that most people here are members of the Astrological Association, and if you are, you will be receiving the Astrological Journal. If you're not, then please join immediately, because you need to receive the Astrological Journal. You can receive it either in hard copy or online. And if you receive the Astrological Journal, I've been writing an article called Working with the Planets for the last 20 odd years. In fact, there is a book called Working with the Planets by Roy Gillett, which has got some of the more notable articles I've written since 2002. So that's another possibility. But do join the AA and make sure you look at the Astrological Journal and then all the articles I've talked about. And when you do join the AA, if you haven't already, you have access to every journal we've ever published since 1959. So you can read back any of the articles that I or anybody else have written. And at the moment, the journal is absolutely brilliant. I've just seen the November journal, which is being printed as we speak. It's really brilliant in so many ways. So if you're not a member of the association, join immediately and then enroll for Kepler Day, and then decide if you want to speak at the conference, and make sure you do come to conference, and we'll all get together next year.
Yeah.
Can I say thank you very much for that, both of you? And can I also say, and I think this is very important, that despite all the kerfuffle with the change day and everything, we've actually had one of the best Astro duets that I can remember. I think really only the Chris Mitchell and Alejo
Yes.
Alejo one surpassed it in enjoyability. I mean, this has just been fantastic. And can I also say that it has also been extremely nice having that extra bit of time, because I've often found that the 1 hour for the other ones tends to be very limiting and constraining, because quite often we have some very good astrologers watching. I would love to hear their comments, but there's not enough time with the hour. So perhaps you could feed that back.
Yeah, I will feed it back, and Teri will as well.
Yeah, we
feed
will
it back.
give the feedback. Yeah, thank you very much.
And please, also, you could send email to office. Do send an email
Yeah.
to the office, because then that goes to everybody who organises. So you
And
email,
as
we
we
will
talk-
pass it on.
As we talked about the journal, yeah, Kenan has pointed out, I mean, thank you very much. Also, we have to always, of course, thank as the writers and their valuable contribution, our editor, I mean, like for the Astrological Journal, and at the moment, Stellar Online Magazine as well, Victor Oliver. We have to also thank him a lot for his
amazing
role, his amazing role as an editor for both of the journals at the moment going on at the same time. So I would like to, we would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and for sharing your ideas, comments, and everything, and being here together with us. I don't know if I would be in other astrological duets, but the people from the Astrological Association will be continuing to be part of the astrological duets, and hopefully you continue with your support and joining to the following astrological duets as well. So I wish everyone all the best, and good night.
Please
night,
do
everybody.
come back,
Thank
because it's
you.
been lovely listening to you. Please do come back.
Yeah, we will. We'll be there next year. Don't worry.
Terry, please do come back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.